Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Fresh off the win for Akami over Rhythm 7-3 in the end. We, of course, have got 3 more games to be played tonight, which is the nature of the best of ones, guys. As we said, the beauty of it is we get to see all of the teams coming up later tonight.
That's exactly right. And I mean, coming up next, Wildcard LFO, probably the matchup of the night, at least for me. So many storylines building into this one, and really could go either way. Sorry, I had to.
You're just gonna keep hounding me on that one, aren't you? All night, indeed you
Probably.
are.
All season.
All season. It wasn't quite 7-0 though, of course, for Akami LFO, I guess I was right there. Versus Rhythm, like you kind of thought it might end up being. Did you get enough out of that match from Rhythm to think that they will go all right this season of Oceanic Nationals? Or will it be more of the same of Six Masters?
Too early to say, I think, is probably the consensus for me. After that map, there were glimmers of hope there. There were some really decent rounds, a couple that slipped away as well. But as I'm sure all the other teams fire up, as Okami fire up, Rhythm need to as well to keep pace. Will Rhythm have enough to sort of overtake those teams? Only time will tell.
Of course, we got our next matchup that we can hopefully get straight into very shortly. Wildcard versus LFO. And I know there is a lot of eyes on this one in particular. For Wildcard, of course, Vinny joining the roster, Guz.
Very, very big change this one. Of course, Ethan has decided to step away for a little bit, so he is inactive on this roster. Big shoes to fill. Ethan was one of the top performers in Six Masters 2020 and did really well in the OCE Major as well. Vinny, of course, jumping ship across from ex-Sinister, ex-Maloncat, or Noble, whichever one you want to call them, but he's going to be jumping in, fulfilling a pretty similar entry role, and maybe some flex support on the side as well on some of the other maps. But the pressure's on because, again, short season, Vinny needs to find his feet quickly, otherwise he could potentially bring the rest of the team down.
Big expectations, of course, for Wildcard after their complete and utter dominance that was Six Masters. Their opponents for tonight, though, will, of course, be LFO. If you didn't realize, it means looking for Org. These guys deserve one. They were exceptional to watch in Six Masters. A bit up and down, though, Guz, and hopefully for their sake, this season can be more up than down.
Again, another team with a roster change. Nate jumping into this squad and Nasty heading to the bench. Nate actually having a pretty strong pedigree, playing for teams that some may know, such as PC419 in the past. And he actually performed quite well in the XP event, XP Esports event, where these two teams actually went head to head. So Nate is likely going to slot nicely into this team and hopefully elevate them to the next level.
The real question, though, for LFO, and this is the important one, is how many new suits has Enigma gone out and bought specifically for Oceanic Nationals interviews?
Well, I mean, the thing is, we're only doing winter interviews this season, so if Enigma actually wants to get his ugly mug on camera, he actually needs to try and win some games. So that's probably the biggest hurdle that he needs to jump over this season.
Or the biggest incentive for not only Enigma himself, but his team. Look, LFO, I put them in sort of this position that could be anywhere from probably 2nd to 7th, really. It's kind of hard to get much of a read on them, and it's kind of like being thrown right into the firing line here in the very first game of the season. You're going up against the proverbial champs, I guess, from Six Masters. Obviously, it's a different rebranded structure and tournament and everything, but Wildcard should really have the deserved respect to be considered the best coming into this. So that means for LFO, you're going up against the best straight away in a best of one. It's not even like you get a warm-up map. You're just going straight into the firing pan.
Yeah, but I mean, that said, last time these two teams went head-to-head in the best of two, one of those maps actually did fall in favor of LFO. And in fact, that was the only map throughout the entire season and the playoffs bracket as well that Wildcard did drop. So there's a glimmer of hope for sure. There's some light at the end of the tunnel for LFO. They just need to try and reignite that form once again, and they could well catch Wildcard off guard like they did on the first occasion.
Of course, map vetoes, map predictions. What are your thoughts going into this best of one, Guz? Of course, 3 bans apiece here between Wildcard and LFO, and then whatever's left over is where we'll be heading.
Yeah, again, we're probably expecting maybe a Clubhouse to be in the mix. That's just the ANZ staple, and both these teams are quite strong there. But, I mean, I just want to see some Oregon Will we though? Probably not, because Wildcard actually performed quite poorly on Oregon in the OCE major. They in fact lost that to the Pittsburgh Knights, so that's probably going to be an early ban for them. In terms of where we're going to actually end up, Clubhouse and Coast are probably the two maps that are looking good for me.
Well, we'll have to have a look and see where we are going to be heading for this BO1 between Wildcard and LFO. The vetoes coming out on your screen right now. No Oregon for Guz. He has to wipe the tears away, and we will be heading to Kafe. Not a surprise there either. Ironic you said Clubhouse or Coastline. I would have said Clubhouse, Coastline, or Kafe, or Villa, or Theme Park, or Oregon, or Consulate.
One of the seven maps. One of the seven maps.
But as I alluded to in our last map vetoes in the last series, Kafe is also going to be kind of like Clubhouse, where I think we'll see it a lot this season.
Yeah, exactly. Again, it's just a staple of ANZ that these teams love to go there. But I mean, looking back at a little bit of recent form between these two, as I briefly mentioned, they played off against each other in an XP esports tournament. It wasn't really as high of stakes as this tournament, so arguably it doesn't give an amazing indication of form. But LFO did manage to take down Wildcard on this map in a pretty decent fashion as well. So that might be lingering a little bit in the backs of Wildcard's mind.
Potentially, and if I'm correct, LFO was the only team to take a map off Wildcard for Six Masters 2020. The fact that you haven't cut me off there and said I'm wrong means I'm right, so I feel good about that one.
I honestly didn't hear what you said, so I didn't cut you off because I didn't want to be wrong.
I'll repeat it just for you specifically, guys, okay?
Sure.
This is like the teacher telling the kid at the back of the class. LFO, the only team to take a map off Wildcard in Six Masters. Double thumbs up. Well, I'm doubly correct then,
well
I
done.
guess.
Ding, 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 ding.
Does that play into the minds of Wildcard coming into tonight?
It's hard to say. I think that the fact that Wildcard have been so dominant for so long just in general is probably going to give them a nice confidence boost. I think the main concern for them really will be actually more so the inclusion of Vinny into that roster more than anything. I don't necessarily think that their opponent will linger in their minds too much, because I think that their mindset will be, we can take down anyone. It's really just going to be a case of, is Vinny the right player for this team?
Well, we will be seeing very shortly, and of course we want to see what you guys have to say about the matchup between Wildcard and LFO with the community vote, and no surprise to see it heavily one-sided in the favor of Wildcard. 77%, 23% sticking with LFO. Those 23%, I'd say about 22.9% of them is Enigma with many different Smurf accounts.
Probably. He loves to support his team, and that said, there actually is like an LFO cheer squad out there. I'm sure if you check the VOD after this, or if you're in chat right now, you'll see like Let's Go LFO with the love hearts. That is the #1 like copy pasta in ANZ Siege. So if you're not already spamming it, I'm sure you are. Make sure you get around it right now.
Snowball predictions coming up on your screens, and if I'm correct, I do believe a Mr. Ducky might have predicted LFO. I am correct in that. Look at that man over there. His face says it all. After everyone else has chosen Wildcard, he looks worried. The LFO pick, he was pretty adamant about this one though, Guz, wasn't he?
There was definitely some confidence there. I'm not sure how much of that was off the back of the fact that everyone else picked Wildcard, so he might get the edge, but I mean, it's not out of the realm of possibility for sure. I'm not expecting Wildcard to take this one super easily, and if LFO are on tonight and Wildcard aren't, then they may well take them out.
I mean, like, that's the best of one in a nutshell, right? You kind of feel like for Wildcard under the best of 2 series, well, it didn't really happen, besides, of course, against LFO, that a team could have sort of shocked them in the first round, and then maybe they get the second one round back. But even that didn't even happen with the best of 2. I mean, Wildcard's a team that comes out and they win maps. We're going to Kafe, though, for our second matchup of the night. It's Wildcard versus LFO. Are they going to give Ducky an advantage on the snowball predictions, or will he be dead last by the end of the first night? Good luck, have fun. Let's get into it on Kafe.
Part of me really hopes that Ducky does get this one wrong, because if I'm remembering correctly, he actually won last season, and I really don't want to see him win again, because that makes the rest of us look really, really bad. That said, of course, the ban phase, we're going to see Maverick and Thatcher taken off the board, so a slight change from the last map where Thatcher actually made it through. For those of you who don't know, Thatcher recently, in this most recent patch, actually underwent a rework. So the EMP grenades no longer destroy anything. They just disable gadgets now for an extended period, up from 10 seconds to 15 seconds, which will help, hopefully, including some of this utility when those teams are well coordinated. Rounding that up, of course, is Mirror and Wamai, both really strong operators, specifically here on Kafe.
Well said, Guz. Couldn't have said it better myself. Congratulations. I'll give you the double thumbs up. You can't see me doing it right now, but I am, I promise.
Thank you.
Reading Fireplace, where we're going to be heading first up for Kafe. Usually see this one to be quite difficult to take. A lot of that defense up in Cocktail. I assume that's the way it's going to play out, especially with Sogs on the Goyot. Can place that just about anywhere from Pixel to Cocktail itself with the Vulcan shield. How do we see this one going though? Good old Guz, LFO on the defense first up. I mean, I could easily see them picking up a few rounds and making it close for the majority of the map.
That's exactly right. I mean, starting on the defense in most cases is favored, a little bit more comfortable. The attack has to fall into the traps that you have laid. And I mean, talking about traps being laid, the very fact that LFO have headed to this reading and dining bomb site first is a clear indication to me that they have a game plan. They're willing to stick to it, and it's up to Wildcard to really try and dismantle that. LFO and their confidence really helps them win maps. I mean, they look at their best when they're confident. They're a young team. They need that to back them. Wildcard, on the other hand, will be probably a little bit more thinking long term, maybe not quite as, eager to get these early rounds on the board. Just trying to sort of keep a safe mental space. They know how to fight out these maps, and their experience shows.
Of course, eyes are going to be on Vinny's performance tonight. A lot of people wondering, is he going to be able to fill the shoes of Ethan? But when you've got such a star-studded lineup, Guz, Diesel, Geo, Pat, Imran, I mean, surely I'm personally expecting Vinny to just slot right in and for Wildcard to not really miss too much of a beat. Obviously, losing Ethan is an unfortunate loss, but it's kind of like the star-studded team loses 1 star, but you still got 5 stars technically, because Vinny's a star himself.
It's going to be all mental. I have full faith that Vinny has the ability, the game sense, and the discipline to slot into this team. It's really his own mind that's going to play against him if he doesn't have the confidence that he deserves to be in this role, or if he feels the pressure of the 6 invitational points, for example, and that leaks into his gameplay. That's when we could see him slip up. So I think it's critical that he just stays cool, calm, and collected, particularly in this first game. Just keep his nose clear, of any trouble, play his role, and just do what he needs to do, really.
You also don't want to play too safe, though, just because you're in a new environment. You also want to make sure you're playing your normal play style, your normal gameplay. In saying that, of course, you want to fit in with the team mantra, right? So you get told to play a certain way. There's only so much you can do. Hill's just spotting Vinny actually rappelling up there. It's not too much information, but he's just going to watch that window for the time being. A bit of a different sort of push in for the reading Fireplace, though, coming out from Wildcard right now. 10 seconds remaining. They don't seemingly have a whole lot of control.
It looks like they're trying to pressure this Cocktail position from the windows, but no one from LFO really feeding into that. The pinch is finally coming through this white hall from Wildcard. Vinny, in fact, getting that opening pick onto Hills, who was holding top white. This top floor now should be in the hands of Wildcard very soon, but they don't have a lot of time to work with. Nades flying out as well. No one there, so not sure why they're really using that utility, but nonetheless, it is clear, and they can now reclaim control. But that said, Angmo, with a fantastic punch hole, will shut down Emo Rin, and that really just slows the momentum of Wildcard even further, despite Geo refragging that.
Just wonder if they were expecting Angmo to have pushed back down from Cocktail. Didn't do so, stayed behind, found a frag, 23 seconds remaining. LFO just holding firm here. Nade over at the stairs as well. Mims is going to get Vince here, though, now starting to push in. Mims very low, switches to the shotgun, but unable to achieve anything, and Diesel can get the plant down on the diffuser. Pat literally super low. Now Sogs just cleaning that up. Should get a second one here as well. Incredible effort from Sogs. Geo just chasing him down, now in a 2 versus 1. Well, technically a 1v1, though, because one was on the floor, and LFO take the first round.
Very clean start there from LFO, draining a lot of time from Wildcard, and I mean, this is going to sound a little bit contradictory to that statement, but Wildcard traditionally like to take their time in their attacks, but on their terms. They like to be able to establish the control and know where the defenders are before they go for those pushes. But the likes of Angmo roaming above, was it Angmo? Yeah, it was Angmo with the punch hole, able to sort of linger above, get that kill. I think put a real spanner in the works there for Wildcard, who didn't quite have enough time to recover, and then Sogs coming in late, able to deny that plant from going down, and it was all downhill from there. No time left on the board, and LFO get a nice one to start things off.
Opening round. Obviously, I don't want to take too much away from just one round. Over to Byron Cocktail, but that's the nature of best of ones, though. I just kind of keep repeating it, but anything can happen when it is a best of one. You can slip up, lose a couple of rounds, lose a couple of those 50-50s, and before you know it, LFO could be in a position where they can send it to match point and potentially walk away with a win. And I mean, this would be, it's literally the best way you can start the season for Oceanic Nationals, is getting the win against Wildcard. In your opening round, walking away with a dub, what you would suspect to be the hardest matchup you can take. And even if they don't win it, guys, even if LFO make it like 7-5 or they potentially take it to overtime, that in itself is good signs for their future in this season of Oceanic Nationals.
100%. This is, I think, the best way to think about this first week is it's really a launch pad for the rest of the season. If you have a great start here, there's no reason why you can't continue that form on through the rest of this compact season. And I mean, it's the opposite effect if you lose, particularly if you're Wildcard. The stakes for them this season are so high. They're almost on the verge, really, of making the 6th Invitational 2021. But to do so, they need to perform well in this league. Losing to LFO simply isn't going to be good enough.
I don't see Wildcard dropping too many maps this season. If you were to drop the opening one, suddenly it's kind of like the Vultures are going to circle Wildcard and think they're vulnerable. We can get maps off them, and a best of one season. Not only that, but of course, you're coming in with pretty high expectations off the back of 6 Masters. Are they vulnerable? Not only that, then there's Ethan's gone. Vince comes in. Is he going to be able to fit? They're certainly more vulnerable now than they were for 6 Masters. 6 Masters was like everything coming together. And for Wildcard, these first couple of games are just going to be about getting that footing as a team and regaining that form. Not that they've lost it, but obviously you got to bring it back now for this new season.
These attacks from Wildcard really quite strange compared to the norm. Getting control below, and I mean, there is a trade to open things up, so it's not the worst result for them, but I mean, flashing back a little bit early in this round, Sogs was just playing basically the middle piano, causing a nuisance to Emo in trying to establish control below, which he probably suspected would be for free. So LFO may be reading into Wildcard quite well here as Angmo narrowly avoids taking a bullet to the face, but there we go. Vinny will follow it up there, and it's now a 4-on-3. And maybe this attack from Wildcard will pan out.
Angmo played that really well. He was expecting the crossfire, even repositioned himself maybe to catch Vince off guard, but credit to Vinny. Let's get the frag on to Angmo. Knew his position, had the comms. 4 versus 3. Wildcard have got the numerical advantage for the remainder of this round. 45 seconds remaining. LFO have looked good, but Wildcard are just, as you said, guys, before, doing some strange things which we're not used to seeing. That doesn't mean bad things, though. Right now, it is technically working out for them. Nice nade kill for Geo onto Mims. Makes it 4-2, and you think that they'll clean out the round from here. Unless Sogs and Nate can find a way to get 2 kills apiece.
Vinny, Nate, hello? I'm not sure what Nate was doing. He just ran into him and didn't shoot him. And I mean, that leaves Sog now all below. You can't deny that plan, and this will be a Wildcard round. And I mean, we can start talking a little bit about the way in which that was really attacked, right? I haven't seen too many teams in ANZ outside of maybe Kanga, now Rhythm, who have tried to execute more of the push below and then take control of the cocktail windows. And I mean, on that occasion for Wildcard, it worked near flawlessly. Those players inside of cocktail really caught off guard, and there wasn't a whole lot they could do in that round.
I think my man Nate thinks he's in the Matrix, just trying to dodge bullets. Who needs to shoot, guys, if you can just dodge bullets? That was better, though, from Wildcard. That was certainly certainly better. And look, LFO have got a big task ahead of them, and they know that. They wouldn't have got too confident just off the opening round win. As we go down to the first floor kitchen, service and cooking. They definitely got a task ahead of them tonight in this best of one. Doesn't mean LFO are out of it just because Wildcard had a better round. Geo with the majority of the kills along with Vince. So 7 of the 9 kills coming from Geo and Vince. If you're Vince though, guys, this has been a pretty good start over the first 2 rounds for his own personal sake.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, heading into this season, he made it pretty clear in the statement that Wildcard released that he would be slotting into a pretty similar role to Ethan. And for those of you who may not know, that's basically entry on the attack and then, of course, playing the more aggressive and roam-heavy operators on the defense. That said, it was alluded that there might be a couple of maps where he'd fall into more of a flex support role. So, I mean, so far it doesn't look like Kafe is one of those maps, at least not the objectives that have been attacked so far on the attack, because he has been on that Ash. Nonetheless, though, he is going quite well. I think it was 3-1, so that's a nice little impact for him at the start of this map.
Bomb located by
Curious to see what LFO are going to do here with first floor kitchen. Do they employ much of a roam game, or do they stick close to home? One around White Stairs, one around Red Stairs, one around Bakery. It seems to be the norm for this site, and seems to be what they're going to employ here. Sogs over in Bakery Hills on Red Stairs. Nate not quite being too aggressive. Just going to sit back and I think maybe just look for what is going to be an expected push down the White Stairs from Wildcard, or at least close by to it.
Nate getting quite aggressive at bot white, maybe trying to find a pick or even hunt a drone potentially. Keep in mind he is trying to hold the VIP area of the map, which offers protection onto that freezer wall. Of course, one of the common entry points into the site. So it's critical that Nate doesn't get overzealous here and lose his life. But at the same time, he might be able to find a pick for free. And he has been droned, so he won't. He's now going to retreat back, and that's definitely a smart play from Nate.
Attackers have located a bomb.
Gets a bit of information as well, pushing up like that. As he said, look, it's risky. He gets droned out. It's kind of a win-win for both sides there. Nate just falls back to his shield, which already kind of had bunkered earlier on in the round anyway. And he gets the information that one's around there. Gio's just going to break this up over in mining. And just keep the pressure on from above. Now, the C4 game here on the kitchen, service and cooking area, super important. We saw one just used there. A miss. You don't get too many of them, though, guys. And if you find yourself with no C4s and not much really to defend above you, it does spell disaster towards the end of the round.
Great use of the grenade there from Gio. Able to get the Electro Claw from Kaid off the hatch, allowing Diesel now to come across, throw some X-Kairos on it, and open it up for a potential execute. And I mean, on the topic of executes, there's only 45 seconds left, so Wildcard will need to try and shape something here. LFO in really strong position still to try and shut this down. Nate is in a fantastic place. He can just hold here and wait for the players to push down white or inside of Freezer as Angmo manages to hose one down. That's a great start for LFO.
Mims at the forefront of this as well, taking a bit of damage. Don't know if that one went through from Vince. Second one will, but running out of time. You mentioned it before. Now we're down to just 17 seconds remaining. You lose Pat as well. It's time to go. It's time to funnel in. Nate's just been waiting and watching. Imran eventually pushed down, but it's Angmo who in fact got him. Vince has found a double kill though, pushing in on now through Freezer. And Diesel can actually get this diffuser down, and all of a sudden it's a 3 versus 3. Diffuser, they're going to be stopped. And LFO are going to win the round because of it.
So I think that the Echo drone actually did just manage to deny that plant. I thought for a split second there that Vinny actually did the miraculous and actually destroyed the drone, but
I think it was like
a
1
touch late,
second.
right?
It would have been touch and go. That was close.
It was very close, yeah. I think that the stun got shot a couple of ticks before it was shot down. It was really, really close to call, but I mean, again, that's the risk that Wildcard run with these late round executes. And it wasn't even the offsite hold from Nate, for example, who was still playing inside of VIP that was able to dismantle that. It was in fact just the plant scenario. I can even envision an alternate timeline where that plant did just go down, but it would have been incredibly difficult for Wildcard to actually hold that, and they would have been very vulnerable to the retake.
Well, what does that say, though, in that last round? Does it say more about Wildcard, or is it about LFO's ability to just hold their ground and hold those angles?
Well, I mean, the one thing we didn't get to see too much in that round was Angmo. He was popping up in the kill feed. I'm not exactly sure the position that he was playing in that round and if maybe that was an oversight by Wildcard. So that one player alone from LFO had a massive impact in that round. And on top of that, again, highlighting Nate, he was playing that VIP position, wasting time. Vinny, in the dying seconds, was spending so much time worrying about that shield that he wasn't in the position in the end to take down that Echo drone. So it was just a combination of a lot of little things that added up to LFO being able to take that round.
Well, it's a good start from LFO right now, leading 2-1 on their defense, though, of course, which we speak time and time again. Which map favors defense? Which map favors attack? And I think at this level, especially with these two teams, guys, I'm going to go out and say I think both can just do attack and defense just as well as each other. Like, Wildcard's defense is obviously going to be very good, but their attack is usually very good as well. Like, from 6 Masters and recent tournaments, you expect Wildcard to do well on attack just as well as their defense. So it's not going to be a matter of like, all right, well, Wildcard are going to switch at the half and they go defense and everything's going to be all daisies and sunshine. Well, LFO can attack just as good, and Kafe is just one of those 50-50s. I think there's a lot of 50-50s on Kafe.
G gets the opening pick onto Hills, and I was just about to say that it was incredibly concerning that Wildcard let Hills get out of the position that he was in over towards the lounge. That was a great work. It was great work from Gio on the skylight to eventually shut down that Jaeger. And I'm sure Wildcard will be incredibly happy with this position they find themselves in. As I said before, they like to take their time mid-round, and having that man advantage really only makes you feel more comfortable. So they should be able to play into that.
You don't want to be too comfortable though either, and we kind of saw it in the Rhythm Akami series as well at one point, when you can have that 1 or even 2-man advantage and you just relax a little bit, and all it takes is one roamer in an off-angle position can find a frag or two and get those numbers back down. Very easy still for LFO to get a frag back. Yeah. Especially defending a site like Fiery Cocktail.
It's just over a minute to go, and Angmo is still roaming below. Of course, Malusi does have a C4 that could be utilized for plant denial. That said, Pat seemingly is aware of a roam, setting up a drone inside of mining, spots out Angmo in that position and can call it out to the rest of his team. Meanwhile, it looks like control has been established inside of shop as well by Geo holding that long angle with the L8. Vinny as well has swung in towards Piano. So many breaches have been open. That's a lot of lines of sight, but keep in mind that they are two-way. So it's incredibly important that LFO don't get too overzealous. And same goes for Wildcard.
Certainly got to think, though, that they are worried potentially with Angmo's position. He has taken some damage. There's the refrag through from Vinny after getting Geo, so they definitely were trying to flush him out. Vince, though, sitting over towards Pixel right now, just peeking down the white corridor. 15 seconds remaining. They should be able to get this diffuser down pretty comfortably towards the last 10 seconds of this round. Now, Sogs is going to be picked back up. So it's a 3 versus 4 advantage Wildcard. They're going to get the diffuser down. They should be able to go on and win this round unless Nate's got something to say about it. He gets Vince, and it's a 3v3.
They need to cover the plant. Mims hits a team kill, though, onto Sogs. No idea how that's happened. Emo Rin can swing in and get that final kill on the Nomad. Very, very messy end to that round from both teams, but Wildcard able to cover the plant, do get out on top of that round.
It definitely felt like they were in control towards the back end of that round, regardless of the team kill, which, what's that now on our counter for the night? Two team kill. Well, not actually, it was technically 1 because Specker got the revive, so he got his teammate back up after knocking him back down. Look, so far right now, what is it? 2-2 after that round win for Wildcard, and we could have ourselves a long series of best of 1 on our hands here for this map, a long map potentially. I could see this going to overtime. With what I've seen over the first 4 rounds, guys, both teams looking good. Of course, it's hard to really get the full picture until we sort of switch halves where, you know, maybe Wildcard's defense might just be too strong for LFO.
That's exactly right. I mean, the first half has been a little bit of a seesaw affair as we jump back in I don't think either team is really going to be in a comfortable position to call it at the end of this half. Even, let's say Wildcard managed to extend the lead to a 4-2 or even vice versa for LFO, the ability for both of these teams to really duke it out, I think, will just continue on in that second half. So, I mean, if you are just tuning in, brace in. Brace in? Is brace in a word? I don't know. Buckle in. Buckle in. Buckle up. Buckle up.
5 seconds remaining.
Buckle up.
All right, calm down.
Get ready.
All right, I'll buckle up, man. Just calm down.
Let's do it for safety. For safety
All right.
purposes.
Yeah. Yep. Click. There you go. It's in.
Nice.
I'll brace in as well. Just
I don't know what I was thinking when I said brace, but we'll go with it.
Do you want everyone to get in like brace position here? Like,
I mean, maybe.
well, I think right now LFO are gonna have to brace themselves for Wildcard's attack.
Bomb has been located.
So we get to this next round. Been a bit up and down so far here on Kafe from both teams. At times, LFO looking like they could pull off the miraculous Wildcard, then at other times looking like their dominant selves. Kind of just feels like, guys, it's whoever's going to click into gear first and be able to maintain it for longer is just going to win this map.
Bomb located by attackers.
Now's a better time than ever, really, to click into gear. A quick flash at Hills, showing he's only going 1 and 4 at the moment, so not been the greatest start for him, and he's going to be facing off likely against Vinny here in his first encounter. Vinny slotting in nicely so far, and I mean, I was a little bit skeptical of how long it might take for him to settle in, but if it only takes a couple rounds, or maybe not even that, then that's a really positive result for Wildcard and for Vinny.
Well, he hasn't looked like he's missed a beat right now for Vinny. He's looked pretty much incredible. I think Nate has also shown some signs for LFO. Wildcard at times, though, have just been a bit slow going on their attacks. At other times, they can push in at a quicker pace. This time, just clearing a lot of this white corridor. How quickly can they push these guys downstairs, though, from the cocktail position? That's the question. Minute 18 seconds remaining. Nate still has a couple of gas canisters remaining. Vulcan Shield in front of him as well. So just feels like a lot of utility still available for LFO to buy some time here.
There's no doubt in my mind that LFO put work into this map. This shield alone is wasting so much time here for Wildcard, and that opens it up for Angmo to get that opening pick onto Vinny. So the man that we were hyping up has been shut down. The shield cleared, and now Geo can get a line of sight in towards Cocktail, but Nate's already gone. He's playing in a safe position, and he could drop the hatch once he feels the heat.
Yep, more time can be wasted as well. Angmo, though, that's aggressive position. Now has to hide behind the shield. He can't probably get back behind the desk. He's just going to hold the right side of this and probably has to just go down swing. He can still, of course, go back behind, but Diesel is watching the balcony. There's the mute jammer and 25 seconds remaining. It's getting down to that 20-second better time. They'll jump down, they'll push in. Pat's got the angle. This is your usual plant location. 15 seconds remaining. It's go time for Wildcard.
Sogs with the wide swing, that's 2. Oh, almost gets a 3rd with the pistol, but somehow Wildcard have evened it out to a 2-on-2. But look at the time. Only a couple of seconds left, and the plant will need to be stuck. Geo needs to cover it. He needs to find 2 picks. Oh, he almost unpicks at the wrong time, but he still manages to collect Mims. The refrag, though, is there from Hills. Can he find the second? Oh. No. Hills so close to closing out the round, but Wildcard again will just edge out on top.
Quick reflex from Imran after getting the diffuser down. What a round towards the last 20 seconds. Back and forth, frag after frag from both teams. LFO will feel gutted. They'll feel like they really could have won that round. These are the 50-50s though, guys, that you've got to win. If you're going to beat Wildcard, you're going to have to win the majority of the 50-50s that can happen. That's a credit to LFO though for putting themselves in this position, especially Sogs there picking up that double kill. If he doesn't get that, Wildcard probably win that round a lot more convincingly. Does get that, forces this sort of neutral territory, this 50-50. Who's going to win out in the 1v1s and the 2v2s at the end? It's Wildcard who do. It's Wildcard who now take the lead 3-2.
That's such a devastating round for LFO, particularly Hills, who has already been experiencing a little bit of a rough map. Even after that last round where he got a pick, he's still only going 2-5, and you probably expect a little bit more from your Jaeger here on Kafe. So that's really going to play in the backs of the minds of LFO, and I think it's probably fair to say that at times they can be a little bit more of an emotional team that do rely on that momentum, and losing a round like that can hurt. So it's important that they bounce back for this last round of the half. Don't let it slip away, because they're still in a great position to draw things out, which against Wildcard is still mightily impressive.
Certainly so. A 3-3, I mean, I would have taken that if I was LFO, if I'm Enigma sitting there and I'm saying, boys, 3-3 at the half. Your happy days, really. I think you'd be quite greedy if you would have been asking for a 4-2 start against Wildcard. Of course, though, you kind of got to back your own attack in, right? Kafe, though, is a map. And as I said before, can cause those 50-50s to spill out depending on how the round plays. And we saw it just then in that last round. And well, LFO've just got to back themselves to win those coin flip battles. They win this, though, 3-3, and I give them just every chance to still cause an upset here on the first day of Oceanic Nationals.
Defender has left the area.
One thing I want to note is the fact
Nate.
that, and this is exactly what I was going to say, Nate at the beginning of that round deliberately ran out, activated the air jab, knowing that he couldn't be shot. Emo shot it out too soon, wasn't in a position to actually collect the frag if a player went out the door. Nate was like, hell yeah, I'll just eat up the air jab. That's one less for the team. And then it actually pays off for him. He wide swings Vinny, one of the top fraggers for Wildcard. And this really tips the balance now in favor of LFO for this final round of the half.
Still a lot of time, though, for Wildcard to compose themselves here, playing without Vinny now for the remainder of the round. Well, that makes it harder, though. Now they're down 2 after losing Geo. And guess what? You mentioned losing one top fragger. How about losing your actual top fragger of the half so far? Others are going to have to stand up. Sogs has got the double now onto Pat. Immediately after getting Geo, Hills gets him in. This is a flawless round from LFO. Talk about a way to close out the half.
Clean. Clean is the word that comes to mind that round. Nate with the big brain play with the air jab. The rest of his team just collecting some of the craziest kills we've seen so far tonight. I mean, I don't know how the hell Sogs hit that shot onto Pat. I will never know. But at the end of the day, the scoreline it reflects 3-3. A very, very close battle, and let's just hope that Ducky isn't right. Well, the rest of us are going to look really bad.
Well, look, what I can say that last round, that was flawless, as it said on the screen, and as you said, clean as well. And man, if that is the potential of LFO this season, if they can pull off things like that, because that looked like it was straight from Enigma's playbook, the way that they executed that round, and it was against Wildcard of all teams as well. So LFO showing what their potential can be for this season of Oceanic Nationals, and the potential for that, guys, it's contender.
I just want to highlight the little banner at the top there. Make sure you guys get your skins. There's new regional skins. The APAC one is Blitz. It's pretty cool. So if you're a Blitz main, even if you're not, which I'm not, go get the skin. The money goes to the teams, a percentage. So that's really cool. And you can flex on your friends, and who doesn't want that? Because if you're bad at the game like I am, you want to at least look cool while playing it.
That was one of the best plugs I've ever heard. Well done, guys. I feel very much like I want to go buy some skins now.
I'm a very persuasive man. That's how I get people to play ranked with me. I persuade them. Because no one actually wants to play with me.
Well, how are you going to persuade me and tell me LFO is going to win this map? What would be the way they do it now on their attack?
What if I don't want LFO to win for my prediction? Xenox.
You can't be
I don't
biased.
want Ducky to win.
You can't be biased.
Yeah, that's right. I am not biased. I mean, in all seriousness, I think LFO need to be confident. That's when they play at their best. You need that confidence on the attack to initiate things. So they just need to stick to their game plan. It's worked for them so far in this map. Just unless things turn really dire, just stick to what you came into this match to do, and it may well pay off.
Ooh, Pat on the pulse. This is aggressive from Wildcard. I like to see it, though. They're not really backed into a corner just yet. It's 3-3. I mean, it's even Steven right now. As we're at the halfway, heading into round 7 now. Hang on, what can he fight? Pat's already found a few heartbeats.
I think the best thing that LFO can do here is maybe try and two-man squeeze Pat out, because a solo entry in Angmo is not going to be enough. That C4 I think it may have been shot. So a little
I was
bit
going
hard
to say, I think he
tell.
got it.
So that's a really positive result, and now that leaves Pat just below to give intel. Yeah, he has used his C4, in fact. So Pat now needs to decide if he's going to stay below and give calls, or if he tries to make his way up one of the main
Attackers
staircases.
drop the diffuser.
Well, if he stays below, he still at least sort of holds that area and can deny it away from LFO, put a bit of doubt into their minds. Doesn't look like it's going to be the case. Repositions himself a bit, and there's going to be the opening frag to LFO. So now they get a 5v4 advantage. Still a minute and 10 seconds remaining on the clock, so a bit of time, and a lot of utility has been used on the side of Wildcard. They've used a lot of utility, gained not too much, except for just taking time off the clock. That's fine, and then they do get the frag. Geo taking a bit of damage there, though, in the meantime, and will use his final gas canister. 50 seconds left. Utility used, 4 versus 4. Geo's low. That's the situation right now. Angmo kind of feel like a lot is on his shoulders here. Can find an opening frag, pushing onto the site. He's going to be spotted, I think. Imran gets sogs, and maybe the round is just falling away from LFO. Never mind, Mims with a double.
We know Mims can step up when required, and he may well need to in this round. He has the diffuser under his arm, and he needs to start thinking about when he's going to drop to go for the plant. Angmo, he's in a really powerful position here. If he can take control of dining, maybe find a pick or two over towards the white stairs or laundry, that opens up the round massively. But those footholds to his left could pose a problem, but that doesn't matter. He still pushes through and manages to find a pick. Make it 2, in fact. Oh, make it 3. That's a clean round from LFO. What a way to kick off their attack.
3 quick kills, 1 to Hills, 2 to Angmo. Angmo, really, I mean, that's what I said he needed to do. A lot was riding on them. Can he find a couple of frags around the bomb site, making it easy? I guess not easy, but easier for LFO to get on there, and he was able to achieve that towards the end. I thought maybe he was going to lose that fight to Geo. You can see how low Angmo actually got taken down. Quickly got Pat, and then we quickly switched over to Hills' POV to see that 3rd kill in quick succession. And LFO retake the lead, not for the first time in this map. They started off strong. Obviously, we saw Wildcard bounce back a little bit. They picked up 2 rounds in a row. They got it to a lead of 3-2. But since then, LFO, last 2 rounds, guys. And we're getting closer and closer to a world where Ducky is going to be leading the predictions after just 2 games.
Oh, no. I mean,
I don't know if I want to live in that world.
I mean, we can't complain too much because this, nonetheless, regardless of the result, has been an entertaining map so far. And I think it's safe to say we're probably still a fair distance away from its conclusion. It's still a long way away from being decided, and Wildcard, sooner or later, need to find another gear, probably will find another gear, and then they can put the foot down on this defense. Interestingly enough, though, they have stuck to this sort of second floor, rather, and they've actually rotated to, again, the tertiary side, the most unlikely side we usually see in comp, which will be the fireplace and mining. I had to actually double check what it is because I see it so infrequently.
Just a way with words, guys. You just got a way with
eloquent,
words.
I must say.
You're right, though. We don't see it too often here on Kafe. So, does it throw off LFO? Maybe just a little bit. Have Wildcard got something up their sleeves to turn the tide a bit? Because as we get closer to that match point territory, LFO, I think right now the way they're playing could easily tip the scales and find themselves at the point where they're on 6, whether it be Wildcard or on 4, 5, or 6 themselves, doesn't really matter. But you kind of feel like right now that LFO can easily get there. And for Wildcard, that's just going to be daunting. You would not want to be starting off the fresh season of Nationals with an L after what they were able to achieve in 6 Masters.
Hills creeping up the brown stairs. If he isn't spotted here, he could easily get a couple of opening picks here and really throw Wildcard off. He still hasn't been spotted, but finally, Emo inside of Train with the UMP and a 1.5 finds that opening pick. A clean headshot from him. LFO now on the back foot, and double that impact with Vinny getting the pick onto Sogs as well.
You can just see the way that Wildcard, I think, have positioned this round is watching for LFO to sneak in and get those sight lines, and I think they've just caught LFO off guard. Almost kind of like LFO, like, hey, how are we this close? And then as soon as they get that close, Wildcard are waiting and they pounce. And that's how they're able to get these 2 easy kills onto Hills and Zogs. And I think definitely from Wildcard, this is the cleanest we've seen from them so far on Kafe. The way they've played this, Hat just repositioning a little bit, and LFO probably out of ideas how to turn this one around. It will take a lot for them to do so. With 55 seconds remaining, down 2 players. Don't think that they can achieve too much from here other than just wing it.
I get the impression that LFO have been thrown off by this objective. A lot of the times we're spectating these players and they're just doing random things like that, swinging in, crouching around the map, not doing a whole lot of utility usage to displace any of these wildcard members who are freely moving in and out of these rotates around the objectives. So a little bit of a failure here for LFO so far, and I'm sure wildcard will just want to clean this one up and even out that scoreline nice and quickly.
But the intriguing thing is going to be, how does this now shape up the rest of the map? Has this thrown them off for good? Has this thrown them off for the rest of the map with this flawless round from Wildcard? Well played to them, by the way. But now for LFO, you've lost a bit of that momentum that you had gained. 2 map wins in a row. Now Wildcard can even the scoreline back up, and will they be able to obviously then continue to go forward in the next couple of rounds?
I'm sure that LFO, if they can get their mindset in the right place, will be able to just brush this one off as, oh, they went to that site. Like, what are we meant to do there? Sort of thing.
Yeah.
They probably aren't practicing that a whole lot in scrims or dry runs or anything. And to me, at least from an outsider's point of view, it looked like that. The entries were just sort of crouching around getting picked off. And the only real utility usage that we got to see was the X-Kairos on the wall over towards the red stairs, which just had 0 impact on the round overall. So I'm assuming LFO, they can just brush this off, well, you know, it happens, whatever, let's move on. And I mean, Wildcard are now heading towards Kitchen, a more traditional side, and LFO should be better equipped to take this on.
You would think so. You would hope so. And I think you'll be right in saying that. 4-4. Wildcard just at least being able to throw a spanner in the works here and wrestle back a bit of that momentum that LFO had gained. Has it put them to a halt, a grinding halt? We'll have to see now. Down over towards Kitchen. LFO, as you said, should be better prepared for this. And if they are better prepared for it and they can take this round, they edge that a little bit closer. And the thing for Wildcard is, if they've got that trick up their sleeve that they've now used, do they have any other tricks up their sleeve? If LFO win this round and got 5-4, what can they really do to then wrestle back momentum again?
For sure, that's actually a really valid point. I'm surprised, actually, upon reflection, that Wildcard did decide to go there so soon. They could have gone to Kitchen, for example, and played it a little bit safer, and then headed to that mining site if they really felt like they needed to. But as you said, they exposed it. If this round doesn't quite go their way, then they can't fall back on it for quite some time. So it's critical that they do win these more traditional sites, and LFO, probably aware of that, will be working really, really hard to try and take control of Kitchen here and close out the round.
In saying that, I don't think that Wildcard necessarily brought out any sort of super duper secret strat or anything. They just played a bomb site that's just not usually in the rotation. And if anything, that's just more, you know, I think for LFO's sake, that you've got to be practicing that and be ready for that more than Wildcard were able to play it. That's probably more on LFO's sake that they weren't prepared for it than, let's say, Wildcard were prepared for it.
Looking at this round, though, it looks like it's a pretty aggressive above hold with some spicy utility usage over towards White Stairs, some ADS devices to aid in this hold, and Pat with a shotgun in hand, looking to find the pick, sees the knee of, I believe, Sogs on the sledge, who does fall back. Both players get away with their lives, but there we go. That's 1 ADS charge used on a grenade. A Banshee as well there to slow these players down. I haven't seen that hold on White Stairs ever, and it looks like LFO might be having some troubles in clearing it.
I've seen it now.
I have, yes.
First time for everything, guys.
Indeed.
It just can also then mean that for Wildcard's sake, they don't have to put too much attention over towards the Wild Stairs. I was going to call it the Wild Stairs. Can you believe it? The White Stairs. Right now, it feels like the Wild Stairs with all the utility over there, but LFO not too dismayed by what's going on. They've still got 5 up, 40 seconds remaining. Just trying to see if they can get any sight lines down into kitchen, but they're going to have to pick up the pace now. There's 35 seconds remaining. It's go time very soon. Obviously, you want to try and find a pick, but they're not going to find it. It's Vince with a quick double onto Angmo and Mims, and that's really going to throw LFO off for the rest of the round.
There is a play in reception that needs to be cleared. Hills tries to flick. It does down one. Doesn't quite down the second, though. Wildcard able to close out that round, and now the pressure is really building upon LFO. That's 2 rounds straight that they have given away, and that really gives Wildcard that nice momentum boost, that confidence now to try and close out this map as cleanly as possible.
Well, now it kind of feels like Wildcard have shown their hand. Is there anything that we can see from LFO that will throw Wildcard off? Probably a bit harder to do so from the attacking side, unless there's an operator pick that maybe you wouldn't be expecting, for instance. But have LFO got anything now themselves to wrestle back momentum, or is this one just going to fall away from them? Which, if it does, we kind of already know what the defining moment of this map was.
Defenders, protect your bombs from being defused by attackers.
I have to agree with you on that one. Again, we're going to see Wildcard bringing that Malusi to the board. Vinny taking the reins. Got a couple of nice kills on the last round. That SMG is quite strong. I mean, Vinny's kill count really is reflective of that. Again, we're going to see Wildcard extending out towards the site, and that's going to put doubt in the minds of LFO, who did struggle on the entry last time. It was mining on that occasion, so a little bit different in that sense. But they do need to be mindful that Wildcard are playing quite aggressively.
Well, could be a chance for Wildcard to now get match point, and that mental pressure on LFO could bear too much for them. Kind of feels like those 7-4 is a bit unfair to LFO if it heads that way. I don't know if the scoreboard really tells the full story here, because like 4-4 at one point, super close. And even when it was 4-4, guys, there were a couple of 50-50 rounds that could have gone LFO's way. So if it does end up snowballing here and ends up as a 7-4 in Wildcard's favor, I kind of feel a bit bad there for LFO, but there's been some good moments for them, at least from this round. Not giving up on them just yet, though. Of course, you win this by 5 and stops the momentum train that Wildcard are currently on right now.
Pat, again, was playing over towards mining and gaining a lot of intel on these players rappelling up towards the roof. So far it's looking like LFO are shaping for a more traditional clear of the map. They'll try and take control of lounge and then sweep that into bar, white corridor, and then ultimately get control above of the site over towards cocktail. But as you can see, Wildcard, they're ready and waiting. Emo Rin playing in towards the pixel position, and Vinny quite aggressively over towards bar finds that opening pick. And with Buck taken off the board, even once they get control of cocktail, getting that verticality above will prove quite tricky.
Vinny's probably been the MVP for me this series between Wildcard and LFO. What a way to make your debut on a new roster. He's just looked incredible. Hasn't missed a beat. And it says a lot though for LFO. I mean, coming into this series, many question if Vinny doesn't quite bring his A game, maybe there's a chance for LFO to capitalize on that, but Vinny certainly has brought his A+ game right now, fragging out. Theo's been good too, and a lot of times still being wasted here. No surprise, and Wildcard playing this well. Under a minute to go.
Gio on those stairs with the smoke, still with 2 canisters in hand, so even once LFO do get control, or at least try and obtain control of White Hallway, they will be stuck in the smoke. But it looks like they've just given up on that completely, instead taking control horizontally over towards pillars and mining. But Vinny's there to greet them. Angray, meanwhile, does find one back though. That's Diesel taken down. Still winnable here for LFO, but clearing Vinny is really going to be the tricky task.
Everyone gets heals, refrag though from Mims. So 3 versus 3 towards the back end of this game. 22 seconds remaining. This is one of those 50-50 coin flip battles. Obviously, as he said, they're going to be difficult to move Vinny out of that situation, but he is low health, so won't take too much to actually take him down. Angmo pushing through, but doesn't spot Geo at the bottom of white stairs, and they just clean up in the kill feed. 2 versus 1. Nate has a lot on his plate. He can't eat it all up. And Wildcard have now got match point.
I like how Nate and plate, they rhyme. It's pretty.
Do they?
Nate and plate. Yeah, that rhymes right. Surely. Nate, plate. Yeah. You're a poet and you didn't even know it, Xenox. You amaze me.
You know what else amazes me, guys?
What's that?
Wildcard.
Yeah, they amaze me too.
Vinny has not missed a beat. They look sensational. They got match point. I wouldn't blame LFO for losing 7-4 here and just not necessarily throwing in the towel, because I don't think that they're about that. But I think 7-5, if they can get one more round and then Wildcard take it 7-5, I'll give them a thumbs up. I'll give them a tick for the way that they've played. These rounds have been really close. They've been really good. LFO have shown their potential, but Wildcard have shown they're still the top dogs.
100% agree. Vinny has been such a consistent performer across this map. I mean, of course, we're going to have to reflect upon his performance later in the season to see if that consistency actually transfers across matchups. But if this is any indication, I'm feeling good about this roster change so far. Of course, Vinny is replacing Ethan, one of the top fraggers, if not the top fragger in Six Masters 2020. So as I said earlier, these were big shoes to fill. So far though, Vinny, he's top fragging. So, I mean, at least from a statistical standpoint, he's performing quite well. Things like communication and his cohesion with the rest of the team, we can't judge that. We're not, of course, in Discord call. That said though, if you're winning, you're normally going to be pretty happy, especially with performances such as these.
I think that says a lot about the rest of the Wildcard team, the support players, the guys who aren't going to get the frags. They're not going to get their names read out as often, and they're not going to get the spotlight. But if you take Ethan, who's the top fragger, you throw in Vinny, and now he's the top fragger, I think it says a lot about the players that surround the fraggers of Wildcard, and it just gives them that freedom to just frag out, literally. And that's exactly what's happened here in this match. And I wouldn't be surprised. I don't know if we're going to have Vince as our interview, or who in fact the interview is, but I wouldn't be surprised to hear Vince say, yeah, like, it's the guys around me that enable me to be able to go out and get these kills. And well, they got Mims early on, so 5-4 in this match point. Of course, best of 1, so match point / series point, and Wildcard will be thrilled to get off to a good start against a plucky opponent in LFO, who have shown good signs, but just have fallen short in the last couple of rounds.
Of course, heading into round number 11 is Mining and Fireplace, the secondary second floor site. We saw LFO the last time they attacked this site really struggle to enter the building and do any sort of damage on the site. On this occasion, it looks like they're going for a more traditional take over towards top red and then sweep across the rest of the top floor. But again, Wildcard have read perfectly into that. 1C4 flies out and finds its mark. The second doesn't, but Wildcard with such a strong man advantage now can surely close out this round.
You would think so. You would think so. Right now, LFO have just, I think, met their match. And I think LFO's defense was really good. It was 3-3 at the half. They did find an attacking round win, but ever since Wildcard just threw them that curveball for Mining and Train, it's been the turning point from that point onwards. Nate, I think decent. I mean, 4 kills, 2-7. I mean, I think passed the eye test for me at times from Nate. Good things, just going up against some absolutely top players. Diesel catches him, and it's down to just Sogs and Hills, and it's hard to really see them clutching this one up and keeping the series alive. So 7-4, you would think from here, guys, for Wildcard. Certainly a big pass mark for them, and with Vinny's performance, he won't be alive to celebrate at the end of this round, but it's going to be still a celebratory victory nonetheless. If I keep talking like this, like the round's over, maybe Sogs will give me a 1v3. Just maybe. I'm trying to sort of speak that one into reality. Although Diesel spotted him from behind, and that's going to be it. Fortunately for us, Ducky, is now dead last in the snowball predictions. Unfortunately for LFO, though, they do lose out 7-4 to Wildcard.
It was a valiant effort, but LFO just not quite having the goods over the experienced Wildcard roster. And there we go, Vinny getting the MVP, the newest addition to this roster, one of their top performers. And I think they'll be pretty positive heading out of that one. Both Flux and Silex, I believe, will be pretty happy with that performance. For the most part, it was pretty clean. It was quite close, admittedly, at the start, but then Wildcard were able to run away on that defense.
Yeah, 7-4. I mean, it makes it seem like it was more one-sided than it was. At one point, it was 4-4. So it's not as if Wildcard got out to like a massive lead, something like 5-2, for instance, and then split the last couple of rounds. Like, it was back and forth for the majority of that map. Both sides, attack and defense for both sides. Obviously, it was the defense of Wildcard that proved to be superior, I think, between the two teams. So, got to give credit to LFO for the way they're able to perform over the first 8 rounds. But then, of course, Wildcard showed they're still the top dogs.
Yeah, and we sort of touched on this earlier, but the turning point really, at least for me, and I'm assuming you probably agree as well, Xenox, was really that 8th round. That's when Wildcard headed to Mining and Fireplace, which is the site that we see basically the least here on Kafe. Most teams just avoiding it completely because it can be a little bit harder to hold. But I think that degree of difficulty played well into Wildcard. LFO, unlikely to have really faced those sorts of defenses before, were thrown completely off guard, at least from what we could see. A lot of entries just crouching, not much utility being expended on towards site. And Wildcard, they just had free reign basically of the entire map. And that rang true of the last round as well, where they were actually able to close out this best of one.
And Vinny, of course, definitely was the talking point for this series from a lot of us, and did not disappoint. In fact, the complete opposite, really, maybe even exceeded some expectations.
For sure, he exceeded mine. I didn't expect Vinny necessarily to play poorly tonight or to struggle, but the fact that he slotted in so nicely, and it felt like he really fulfilled the void, or fulfilled the roles that Ethan did leave behind when he decided to be inactive in this squad. So not only did he perform well on his own behalf, but also I just think the fact that he was able to fulfill that role, it being such a big one to fill, was incredibly nice to see. And hopefully that consistency can carry on throughout this entire season.
We've got our interview, of course, from the winning team for Wildcard. It is Silex, and very much should be a very, very happy guy. Congratulations on the win. Good way to start Oceanic Nationals, mate. You're keeping that winning streak going, of course, from 6th Masters now over to the Oceanic Nationals.
Yep, it's been great. It's a bit of redemption since our last match with LFO in the National Cup. We lost 5-7 to them on Clubhouse last time, so it's nice to take the win this time.
And I mean, the big talking point, at least for us heading out of that map, Silex, was Vinny, of course, the newest member to your roster. And this is the first official he's played in outside of course, the XP event. Give us maybe a little bit of an insight as to why you picked up Vinny, firstly, and how you can see him developing in this squad heading into the future.
Well, Vinny's always been like a consistent player. You can watch him in all of his previous matches. He frags well, he communicates really well, and we needed someone to kind of fill Ethan's role where he would be communicating a lot, at the same time just outright fragging. And tonight you could really see that Vinny held his own. I think he top fragged. I didn't see the final score, but at least 12 that I saw. So yeah, he's been a great addition to the team, and he's just slotted in really nicely.
Indeed, and I guess moving on from that, another thing that we brought up after that match was the fact that you guys headed over towards Mining and Fireplace. And I know you don't want to give away too much, but that is a site that traditionally we don't see a lot of play in officials in OCE. What was the thought process behind going towards that site, and do you think it actually paid off like you expected?
So the Mining Dining site we've actually kept in the pocket for a while now. We had it prepared for last season, but we never really used it. So we just thought, okay, yeah, maybe bring it out tonight. Teams probably won't have as much experience playing up against it. And yeah, it really showed tonight. 1-2 out of 2 for that site.
Man, obviously, a lot of the talk has been about Vinny, and maybe will be at least for the next few weeks. But one of the things I sort of brought up in the broadcast tonight was that he just seemingly slot in. But I think a large reason for that is probably the support players around him. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, so there's a lot of fluidity behind how we play. We play really adaptively, and Vinny's slotting in really well. Yeah, there's not really much else I can say about that.
No worries. Best of luck for the remainder of the season. Of course, we'll see you again on Friday. So congratulations again on the win, and good luck.
Thank you. See you guys.
So 1-0 for Wildcard. 1 win already in the bank. How many more are they going to be able to achieve throughout this season of Oceanic Nationals? I think the real question should be, guys, how many losses are they eventually going to get? Is it 1, 0, 2?
Well, after tonight's performance, I don't think it will be many. Yes, LFO might not be the best gauge of like the upper echelons of OCE, your likes of, you know, the Knights and Okami, but I think it still does give a fair indication the way that they played, and even the fact that they were willing to bring out a pocket strat that they've been hiding for so long as well is an indication of things to come. And as Vinny continues to synergize with that team, they're only going to get better and better.
Indeed, couldn't have said it better myself, guys. Stay tuned. Coming up after the break, we're going to have Elevate versus Pittsburgh Knights.
Defender has left the area of operation. Defender has been discovered. Attackers have dropped the bomb. 10 seconds. Attackers have recovered the bomb.
Position to knock it down.
10 seconds left.